My mom forged my signature to sell my house for my sister's college. Her reaction when I sued her: I pierced my wife's balloon because she was cheating on me, and this is what came out of it. My wife cheated on me with a rich guy from the business center. For that, I ruined her life with one social media poll. Hi. My name is Sam, and today, I want to share my story. It's not an easy one to tell, and maybe, just maybe, some of you will see a reflection of your own life in it. Family can be the greatest source of love and security, but for some of us, it becomes the source of our deepest pain. We all face difficult family dynamics at times, but my situation was something I never expected, a path I never thought I'd walk. This is a story of how I broke ties with my mother, Linda. I've always envied those who speak fondly of their mothers, who say things like, "My mom is my best friend," or "I can't imagine life without her." To be honest, I can't relate to that at all. For me, the word mother doesn't conjure up feelings of warmth or safety. Instead, it's a complicated mix of emotions, bitterness, sadness, and maybe even a bit of longing for something that could have been but never was. From the very beginning, my relationship with my mother was different, cold, detached. I often wondered if I did something wrong or if there was something about me she couldn't love. I'd watch other mothers and sons laugh together at the park or shop for dresses for some special occasion, and I couldn't help but wonder why my mother and I weren't like that. Why couldn't we have those moments? The reality was that my childhood was marked by an emotional distance I couldn't bridge. But things really began to fall apart after my parents divorced. I was just 12 when my father, James, walked out. He couldn't handle it anymore. My mother's endless criticism, her constant unhappiness, it finally broke him. And when he left, I was the one who stayed behind, stuck in the middle of a storm I had no control over. Suddenly, it was just me and my mother. You'd think that would bring us closer, right? After all, it was just the two of us now. But instead of bonding, we grew even more distant. It felt like we were strangers living under the same roof, forced to interact, but without any real connection. I miss my dad terribly. He had been my safe place, the one person who seemed to understand me, but he was gone. And I was left to navigate life with a mother who barely seemed to notice I existed. That's when I first started feeling truly alone. The months following the divorce were tough. It's strange to say, but in a way, I felt like I had lost both of my parents. My dad wasn't there physically, and my mother, well, emotionally, she had never been fully present. After my father left, I kept hoping that maybe now, without the constant tension between them, she and I would find some common ground. But instead, it felt like she was slipping further away from me, retreating into her own world. That's when Mark entered the picture. I don't know exactly when they met, but it wasn't long after the divorce was finalized. I came home from school one afternoon, and there he was, sitting in our living room as if he had always been there. He was polite enough to me, but I couldn't help feeling uncomfortable. Everything was happening so fast. I hadn't even come to terms with the fact that my dad was gone, and now this new man was suddenly a part of our lives. My mother seemed happy though, or at least happier than I had seen her in a long time. I wanted to be happy for her. I really did. If Mark could fill that void in her life, maybe things would get better between us. But instead, his arrival only made me feel more isolated. My mother's attention was entirely focused on him. Dinners, conversations, even weekends became centered around Mark. They were like a couple lost in their own bubble, and I felt like an intruder in my own home. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't belong in this new version of our family. Then not long after, they had Rachel, my half-sister. I'll never forget the day she was born.